Hello, hello. It is Friday afternoon, and it is time to magic up your life with another inspirational show. My name is Amethyst Mahoney of Spiritual Badass and the creator of the Spiral of Ascension. If you've been paying attention in the Spiritual Badass community, you've seen a lot about the Spiral of Ascension this week. We are on a 7-day Ascension adventure, so be sure that you're over in the group and are finding out all about that, and it has been really transforming and shifting a lot of people, so definitely check that out. Today, however, we are going to be talking to Chris Oster of Chris Oster. There's a business name. Chris is a brand. We're both a little bit coughing and out of it today, so this is going to be a really fun show. I had finally gotten over this stuff, and I swear, just having to do the videos every single day, like that really wears me out. So I'm wearing my plaid pajama bottoms, and total disclosure,
Yes.
I'm only like made up from like the waist up. I just woke up 20 minutes ago. This is how we run a worldwide online business, right, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
So Chris is all about, let me read your little thing here. So Chris helps heart-centered and creative visionaries, which is people who fear that they other people will think they're crazy or out there or weird, which is what I was told all my life, if they step into the spotlight, release their true marketing voice and brand identity so they can attract more perfect fit clients with ease. She helps you co-create your cohesive marketing and eyebrow-raising content in a good way, and the end result is to triple your list, double your income, and showcase your brilliance to the world without feeling sleazy. Chris is not your normal dry marketing and business coach. If you check out the links to her Goddess I can't talk. So I'm like, can I redo that? No, we're live. The Goddess Guide to Business Bliss. There we go. I was like in my head, I'm like, it's GGBB. What's the other T? If you check out the Goddess Guide to Business Bliss, there's a link down below, and then there's one off to your left-hand side of this video. If you're watching live, you can go to her website and check it out, and you will see her in as a mermaid, because she is a mermaid. So you can tell right there that she's not your normal business. Chris takes the deep and intoxicating parts of mind and mythology and turns it into powerful and proven strategies to help you gain more visibilities, customers, and revenue, and has 20 years in marketing and web development with some big old companies. You can read them out on below. She's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs create a business and livelihood that feels worldly, seductive, enthralling, and totally bewitching. And those are clients all around the world. So welcome to the show today, Chris.
Thank you, Amethyst. I've been waiting to be interviewed by you. This is fun. Having a conversation with you.
I know. Are you dressed from the waist down?
I've got yoga pants on. So, you know, I guess that counts for entrepreneurial couture for work.
That's actually pretty couture for entrepreneurial work. I mean, I lived in Seattle for a long time, and yoga pants is like standard business attire there. So.
It's true. California, yeah, and those places are very low-key and laid back compared to Midwest and the back east where, yeah.
Yeah, my neighbors here,
more dressed up.
They don't know quite what to do with me. I've moved on. You never come out of your house, and when you do, you're like not really in real clothes. Like, what do you do? So
I grew up in Chicago, so I know.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that close.
Yeah.
Nice. So today I want to talk to you about what it means to actually put more of who you are in your business. And just to let everybody know, I actually took Chris's bewitching class, and that's probably not the correct name of it completely. So you
Bewitched.
can really, it was Bewitched. Okay, good. I can't get names right. But it was really, really great. And I was in there right when I was switching over to Spiritual Badass. So of course I had my big ranting, crying, I can't believe I'm putting this out there, blah, blah, thing. Which is what everybody needs a place to do, especially with you, when
So
you're transitioning into what you're, who you really are, and embodying more of your brand and doing all those kinds of things. And not only to have a place to, once you kind of find it, to have some support around it, but also to actually find it in the first place. So Chris helps out with that, and is really great at just letting me cry and boohoo on her shoulder about how scary things are.
it was great. I think like anybody else, because I'm a fangirl of you, and you always think, everybody's got it together and I don't, and da 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 da, and it's amazing. We're always in a state of becoming, right? There's never the end, this is who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. It's always evolving. And so it was really beautiful to be with you in that process and witness that and go, oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I've been going through it because I think you did Bewitch probably earlier in the year, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe January or December. I remember, forgot when I ran it exactly, but I started Bewitch in 2013. And the one part of the course, the part where you get into the shadow, that by far was the one where everybody kind of came unhinged a little bit, and because it's disorienting. It's that because you feel that trajectory moving you into the future, because the seed of the future is always in that past self. It's there when you're born. It's always blooming and it's with you. But to part of what we both do, Amethyst, is we help support people who are on this path of always coming from that place and unfolding, and it's a very naked and vulnerable place to be. So there's very few moments where we're not feeling vulnerable, like, oh my God, what am I about to do, right? So I think, what we do, and for anyone else that's doing similar work, bless your heart, it's very needed. So
Yeah, and it's really good what you said, because everybody I talk to, and I know I feel this way myself sometimes. It's like, when am I going to get there? Like, I'm done growing. I'm done being upset about it. I'm done looking at my shadow side. I'm ready to just have my thing and be done with all the process shit so I can finally, be there.
totally. And then to go and do this inner work, and which is really spiritual work. It's working with the self, the divine self. And we're also, I think, as part of our society, especially Western culture, it's very heroic, very go out there and kick some ass, and be bold, and da 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 da, and slay the monster, cut off Medusa's head. And I think our approach is a little different, and our way of life is different. When you're walking this path, you do need others beside you, because for the most part, you're not going to get a lot of support in the wider world, because if you're not, you know, uh, living the American dream in the ways that are subscribed or prescribed by society, you're a misfit or blah 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 blah. But I'm really interested, because it just seems like the past few years that there is this movement that's happening, that we're all in, of this entrepreneurial movement, people leaving their corporate jobs, their steady paychecks, because they know there's something more meaningful for them, and they know that they could be more effective, really, not being in this kind of cage or a square box. That said, we still always feel that disorientation and vulnerability when we go into that phase of our businesses or project where it's the chaos and we're in the mix and trying to figure out, who am I here, and where is this leading me?
Yeah, and
And
I
Go
think
ahead.
it's a little bit more difficult for those of us who are, in our 30s or older. It seems like the what I've really heard about the people who are in their teens and really early 20s right now are very entrepreneurial mindset. Like you cannot hardly even make them get a job because they're too busy out there forming their own jobs, which is really great. I mean, as long as not every single person in the world is an entrepreneur, because we do need like assistants and people to help us out.
Yeah, well, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also, I have multiple businesses, I guess, in a sense, but though I have a business where I write copy and come up with campaigns for other women entrepreneurs. I think being of service in that way is a big part of my life blueprint. So will it ever completely go away? I don't think so, but I'm moving more and more into focusing on, my own books and writing, which, because I would say my primary energy is writing, and that's how I process things. But and I think second to that would be music. But the being an entrepreneur, I don't think necessarily means that you only work for yourself, that you only, just do what you do, because you could do what you do in many different capacities.
That's a really good point. So you mentioned your book, and we're going to talk about, I know you have something coming up in September, but when you say book, I'm always like, oh, tell me about books, because I love
Yay!
to read.
I I've got like 4 or 5 books going, but the one that is the priority, I'm in the second round of rewrites for. It's called The Return to Enchantment, and the subtitle is Branding with Mythological Archetypes. It's really kind of came out of a workshop that I did, a 12-week mastermind slash workshop last year, of the same name. And then I also added some from the Bewitch workshops. I've wanted to write a book about how I work, how what my method is working with myth and working with archetypes with brand, and get it in the right format. So what I've done is it's basically 7 chapters of and you could probably dive into, after you read the introduction, which kind of lays out what the book is. Once you could just go to chapter 3 if it's like, wow, I really want to learn about, more about my own memoir and personal mythology and how to use that. And then chapter 5 is on the trickster and how to use the trickster archetype in marketing, like humor and being irreverent and how that gets attention. So you could kind of dive into almost any of the chapters and just go, where does my heart or interest draw me to? So it's really been a little bit of a challenge of how to lay that out in a way that's, that it's consistent format that the reader knows how to wind their way through. Um, so that's kind of an overview of it. And I've done it also by the magic that I work with primarily is the manifesting line. So I work heaven downwards usually in most of my workings. So I also wrote the book in the same way. So the first chapter actually starts with 7th chakra. It starts with the spiritual, the inanna, sovereignty. So it's around those topics. So each of those, and then it moves down through the 7 chakras. And then the last chapter is, bringing it into manifestation. And that chapter actually is also really focused on the book The Alchemist, which is one of my favorite all-time stories that I read probably at least once a year. And how you can create a brand map now that you've got all these little tidbits of your mythology and spirituality archetypes that are informing your essence. How do you put it into your brand? So it kind of shows you how to make a map, but it uses the alchemist as a method. So it basically presents 7 different methodologies, and then you can apply your own myths or just take the ones I've given you and work it your own way. So it's
That's really cool. So, of course, I'm interested in the trickster because everybody says I'm the most I have the most irreverent humor that they've ever run across, and also I'm snarky, and let's just face it, I'm a smartass. So would that be, if you're talking about you're starting with the chakras and working down, is that like your throat chakra, or is that kind of how it lines up if it's the third one?
I'm trying to remember. So chapter 1, chapter 5, I think, is the sexual. It's the sacral.
Okay, well, let's just get straight to that one.
Yeah, that's trickster. So trickster is that sexual sacral energy that it's, and there's a lot of different writings on the trickster, but I really appreciate the ones where we look at how trickster, through its own desire to break through the ice, to break through limitations. It's a penetrator. It's, again, so there you get more of the sexual overtones. So trickster energy totally fits you because you're always breaking even out of your own molds. You create a mold, and then it seems like a couple weeks or a couple months later, you break out of it and create a new one.
And that's not just because I'm chaotic and can't make up my mind. That's just how, that's an archetype, right?
It's your process. It's your process, and good for you that you like to change your mind a lot. It keeps us all engaged. It's your method way, and tricksters. Who else would be like a trickster? Probably like Ash Amberg. Coyote, crows, all of those kinds of animals. Eshu in Africa. There's a lot of tricksters. But yeah, I think that gives me an idea. I would love to do a profile on you as trickster for my blog. So look for that in the near future.
Oh, okay. Like, that sounds scary, but I'll do that. So that book is going to come out in December. Is that when we can look for that?
Yes. So yeah, I'm in the second round of rewrites, and after the first round, it was like I have a really great editor, and she said, if you really want to make this like a roadmap for people to follow, she goes, I love that you could dive into any of these different chapters, but you have to give them a thread. You have to make it formatted so people can figure out what to do, which, that's not necessarily my forte. So it's great to have somebody there who's really good at that go, okay, so she basically created this whole style structure, and now I have to rewrite everything according to her style structure. So it's like, oh boy.
Wow.
It's a lot of work. So I imagine it'll be done by November. So I'll probably start sending out like sample chapters and stuff like that in November. And then once the printed books should be ready and create space, I would imagine December. So that's why I'm pushing it out, because I know the rewrites are substantial. So it's exciting, but it's a lot of labor.
Yeah, I think, one of the first books that I wrote, I kind of was like, I realized that there wasn't a way for someone to apply it, and then I was just like, and here's the second book, which is the workbook. Like, I didn't want to do the whole thing. I took the totally lazy option on that. So, but I do look forward to seeing your one book where you actually do the whole technique the right way. I just figured, double my sales, but or sometimes I would just package it for free. But yeah, well, that sounds really good. So definitely make sure that you keep us up on when that's coming out. And tell us a little bit about what's going on in September. It is September. Tell us.
I know. I keep forgetting. It's like it's the end of the first week. It's like, how do we get here? It's amazing. So actually, I do have a couple of things going on, but what I'm really excited about is in my Enchanted Entrepreneurs group on Facebook, we're doing a 5-day video challenge called How Do You Bring Heaven to Earth? So there's I laid out topics again based on days and different associations with chakras and gods and goddesses and stories. So people can each day choose from the day's topics that would answer how do you bring heaven to earth, or they could just come up with their own inspiration. And so that's happening. It starts September 15th. So you can go to my website. Right on the home page, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a link to click on that and get more information and sign up. So for anybody that's already in the Facebook group, yay. I'm running it completely through the Facebook group. I decided not to do extra emails because I can't handle it right now.
I know, right? Oh my God. The thing for just the 7-day Ascension adventure, it's like
Yeah.
7 extra emails or something. Like, ah!
It just, well, yeah, it compounds everything.
It does. And sometimes people are like, I'm getting too many emails. And I'm like, I'm writing too many emails. Like, I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons for that. And then if any of your viewers are interested, I'm doing a free class called How to Magnetize Your Dream Clients Without Being a Sleazoid. I love that title. I still giggle every time I say it. That's on, I believe, September 18th. It's on the 18th, and that, again, if you look on my website on the homepage, you scroll down, it's like, let's workshop, and then you have a little blurb and then a link to get more information. And that I do have a sign up form to make sure you get the reminders. It's going to be on Google Hangouts because I tried it on Spreecast and it exploded. So this is actually, I got to do a practice run, so this is like the real one. So it should be really awesome because I've done it once already, and now I'm like old hat. I hope.
Don't you love how you find the way you're going to do things and the technology that's going to make it work, and then when you go to actually do it live, it's like, no, screw you.
Isn't that fun? Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And I had 30, I was telling you earlier, I had 30 people. I think, 60 people signed up for the webinar, and then 30 people actually showed up. I was like, yeah, dang, that's pretty good. And then it didn't work. I was like, this is great. So I'm hoping y'all come back.
It's not Chris's fault.
It isn't. I'm not a total flunky, a technological flunky. Although, that happens too, right? It's
Yeah.
all fine.
Oh, I was on a webinar with someone who makes, several $1 million a year and has like a whole team of people running her technology, and hers just wouldn't work, So that happens, and especially when you're dealing with trying to connect people from all around the world and you're trying to do video.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So
all an adventure.
it is an adventure. So if people sign up and if they just go to the link that I've put up and they get your Goddess Guide to Business Bliss, I got it that time. If they get that, will they also get the reminders about the video little 5-day thing that's coming up, and also the other event that's coming up, or do they have to sign up for those separately? Or if they get the guide, will there be a link where they can just come over to your Facebook group and then they'll get everything they need?
Yeah. So the once you're already in the newsletter, I am going to be sending out, hey, here's the information to either join the Facebook group, or if you're already in the Facebook group, or even if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, I've made it a secret group because I just started getting too many spammers. So you can't just click on a link and get to the group and ask to join. You have to friend me and say, hey, Chris, I want to go do this challenge with you and be a part of the group. That's totally fine too. So you could either sign up on my website, because there's a separate newsletter list just for the Enchanted Entrepreneurs group. But the newsletter that you get when you sign up for the Goddess Guide to Business Bliss, it's my general newsletter. So you will get the general news about everything I'm up to. So you'll know.
Yay! Which I really enjoy. And I like your pictures and stuff, especially on your website. So what do they get with the Goddess Guide to Business Bliss? I don't know why I'm tripping over that. Like, just, not like exactly, but is it like 3 tips to remake their brand, or like kind of what's the gist? Why should they get that?
So basically, the Goddess Guide and Business Bliss is like the first thing you get in my welcome series. So it's 150 pages. It was a collaboration I did with 20 plus entrepreneurs. As Danielle Laporte, who else is in it? Alexandra Franzen, Tanya Geisler, Michelle Ward, and also I have Volume 2, which has Justine Musk. It has Susan Harrow, she's like the Oprah Whisperer, and I don't think Amethyst is in it, so I'm going to have to get you to put something in. So it's basically the Goddess Guide to Business Bliss is women entrepreneurs all collaborating and giving like their marketing advice, and it's divided into sections, like for people interested in trademarking, people who are interested in branding, people who are interested in asking for more money. Yes, there's a whole money section, and then there's also recorded mantras like music and meditation. So there's audios, and there's also some video classes that you get. Wow. And then like I think the third or fourth email you get after you sign up on my list, you also get a free class I did on how to do, branding with mythology. But there's all of my worksheets on how to do branding with mythology. Just the real quick stuff is in the Goddess Guide to Business Bliss. So there's a lot. It's a lot of material to dig through for sure.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like something that a lot of my clients need. Like everybody watching this, just go get that, because from what you just said, I can hear about 87 questions that people have asked in the Spiritual Badass community. So now because I didn't know it was that big, now I can just type in the group or just tell people, go sign up for that. Because I'm kind of pulling a little bit away from so much specific business training. So I'm actually in the process of looking for people to send people to. So yay, now I can send them to you and know exactly what they're going to get.
Yay, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and that's what's really good about, being in these business communities and things like that. I know there's a lot of really great people in Chris's group that I met when I did the Bewitched program. That's a really good group, and so there may be other people in there, if you're watching this show, that you may be able to collaborate or network or, do guest blog posts, all of those types of things. And not everyone in there is a business coach, which is great. There's a lot of authors, too. I think your group is pretty author-heavy.
Yeah, I think because I'm a writer. I think people gravitate to each other when they're like, oh, it's a kinship soul, I think it happens naturally. But there's, I'm also a healer, so I attract a lot of healer people as well.
Yeah.
And spiritual, like tarot, and yeah, I love that you do hand analysis. That is super cool. That's like my favorite topic. So I look forward to getting more into what you're doing as well. So cool.
Awesome. Well, I'm kind of moving everything towards the spiral of ascension. I mean, pretty much. Everything else is still in there, but I've kind of found, like you've found, like if you, in your work, if you try to brand but you haven't brought in that past piece or those shadow pieces or those archetype pieces, it just kind of doesn't work. You might find something that kind of fits for a little while, but then it's just not right. And I found that in the same thing with my business coaching. Like if you don't have the energy pieces that I teach in the Spiral Ascension lined up, I can teach you business stuff all day long, but if you don't have that part of it, it's just not going to work out that great for you. So I guess that's kind of the behind the what the hell am I doing this week going on.
And we love to hear about that. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, so we're almost out of time for today. So any last words of wisdom or awesome nugget or tips on dressing up like a mermaid and getting your photo taken you want to share?
Mermaids are fabulous. I think the last thing I would say is just to always honor your becomingness and your weirdness. You come to people like Amethyst and people like me, and there's so many other awesome, amazing people in both the Spiritual Badass group and Enchanted Entrepreneurs. So if you feel like you're alone, you are so not alone. You're on a path with a lot of amazing, amazing people with strength. There's a lot of strength there. Even if it seems like they're small numbers, they grow constantly. And it's, yeah, just keep knowing that whatever your path is, it's always going to unfold in front of you. Even when you think nothing's happening, nothing's going right, it's all unfolding for the perfect results. I believe that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chris, and for the people watching. And we're going to go over to the Spiritual Badass community for a few minutes. So if you have any questions for Chris, or, just random mermaid pictures that you want to post, that sometimes
I always
happens.
love those.
Yeah, there's actually a thread in the Spiritual Badass community where, we had the link to today's shows, and then you can just comment or ask your questions there. Tell Chris how amazing she is.
Oh, yay! Thank you.
And what you loved about today's show. So thanks again so much for joining me, and I will see you guys over in the Spiritual Badass community. Bye, Chris.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye, Amethyst.